still remember this Alaska that was airdropped and fed by its neighbors for a month and a half? Even people's daily online was moved by the warm picture. His name was Yuan Bao. At that time, his owner had to temporarily lock him at home because of work. From the abundant food and water on the balcony, it can be seen that it will take a long time for the owner to come back. At first, Yuan Bao's life was normal. He would often stand on the balcony and look into the distance, with a hint of confusion and expectation in his eyes. He was like a child waiting for his family to return, quietly watching everything outside the balcony. Sometimes he would politely wag his tail and bark at his neighbors a few times, as if to tell his loneliness or to greet his neighbors in a friendly way. A week later, the master still showed no sign of returning. The long wait made him a little anxious, and he began to become uneasy. He could only play alone on the balcony with his master's socks at his mouth, trying to dispel the loneliness in this way. At that time, it was a special period of epidemic prevention and control, and his owner was probably quarantined and could not return in time. Soon the dog food and water left at home by the owner were eaten up, and the hungry dog even began to eat the plants planted by the owner on the balcony. This scene happened to be seen by the kind-hearted female neighbor. The female neighbor was a kind-hearted person. He couldn't bear to watch the ingot starve and freeze like this, so he used to drying racks to make a simple feeding artifact. At first, the dog saw the food from the female neighbor and did not accept it. After all, the owner told him not to eat food from strangers. The female neighbor looked at the feces of ingots everywhere on the balcony, and then looked at the hungry and screaming furry child in front of him. He didn't give up and handed the food over again. This time, the hungry ingot couldn't resist the temptation of the food and devoured it. The female neighbor herself didn't have a dog, so the food he fed the ingot was all made by him on the internet. After eating, the ingot looked especially happy, as if he had regained the joy of life. As time went by, the sky suddenly began to drizzle, and the weather became cold and humid. But even so, the female neighbor still fed the ingot on time on the balcony, and the 3 meals a day were never interrupted. After every meal and drink, the ingot would always go downstairs to see if the owner had come back. He would hide under the eaves alone and helplessly, looking at the distant avenue, as if waiting for a miracle. That day, he found a drink bottle in his mouth from nowhere and played alone on the balcony. When he was tired, he would lie under the eaves and lick his feet, waiting for his master's return. When the meal arrived, the ingot quickly ran to the balcony to wait for feeding, because the floor was too high, and broke the ingot's bowl during a feeding.